Hello, everybody. Welcome to Liberty and EDC. I'm your host, Daniel Sellers Norman, and we're here with Barbara Rodgers, who's running for Cameron Park CSD. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to start out with a fun question. We've been doing it for everybody. Tell me, what's one of your favorite things about Cameron Park, one of your favorite places in Cameron Park?
Well, I love the tranquility of Cameron Park and all the trees. And I do, a favorite place, I guess I would probably have to say it is the lake.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yes.
It is really nice. I've been meaning to play their disc golf course there. I haven't got around to it yet, though.
I'm not part of the golf club community, though. But that is beautiful also.
So, can you share your background with us?
I moved to the county in '77.
Yeah.
I moved to Placerville in '79. I was lucky enough to be hired at the Placerville Fire Department in '78 as chief secretary. I was part of the consolidation effort in '91 as my chief. Hersick of Placerville Fire started that consolidation and retired from there and worked for Diamond Springs Fire for a couple of years on and off. And I still work in my retirement. I work at Sam's Club, been there 15 years.
Yeah.
So that is basically, I was an admin assistant. And also part of my time, I worked for the Placerville Police Department due to budget cuts with the city. So I worked for both the fire and police department.
Oh, wow. And what were you doing for them again?
I was, for the fire department, of course, I was a chief secretary. And, I did the bills and the payroll. When we went into El Dorado County Fire, my role got more detailed where I managed budgets. I was a scheduling officer, did the payroll, did the health benefits. And then, of course, for the police department, I did a myriad of different things, working the front counter, working for the police chief and the fire chief, just administrative duties.
Wow.
So
that's a lot.
yeah.
I would say that's a lot more than being a secretary.
Yeah, I got a lot of experience. I very, very blessed to have had the job I had. So
Yeah. Then what made you want to run?
Well, I got involved when we moved to Cameron Park in 1991 and started going to meetings in 2003, 2004 when they were proposing the community center. There was quite a large group of us, of citizens, because we were not in favor of the community center because we knew that the community center was probably going to drain our budget. And so and also impact our fire service. And that's basically why I got involved.
Yeah.
For the fact that I knew that we one day would be faced with where we are now at not being able to keep our fire service as we know it today. So I've been going to meetings since 2003, 2004.
Wow. Okay. So you knew back then, like, hey, this is going to be a burden on us.
I'm sorry, what?
You knew back then, like, hey, the what do they call it? The Cameron Park, the recreation area that they put in?
Well, I knew that, coming from the city, I know what it's like to work for an agency where you're splitting the budget pie 10, 12 different ways, okay?
Yeah.
So in Cameron Park, you're looking at the same thing. You're splitting your budget between your public safety, your parks, your recreation, your administration, and also now we have the community center. So I knew, because of our unique situation of contracting with CAL FIRE, that one day we would be faced with the decision of, are we going to be able to keep contracting, or are we going to have to annex to another fire department, which is what we are doing right now. We are in talks right now with the El Dorado Hills Fire. And nothing's saying that that's going to go through because it all comes down to dollars. So that was my main focus, was fire. And I'm also very concerned about our finances, our budget. We are, I believe, in deep financial trouble, and we've got to figure it out, how to bring in more revenue, or we're not going to succeed on either side of the budget. So,
how do you think they can bring in more revenue?
Well, I would like to think that we could do more at the community center. We could have more events. We could have more programs that people are interested in. And it's bringing in the public that we need to do, and I don't know how we're going to do that. I've been doing this a long time, and believe me, nobody shows up at meetings. There's maybe 4 or 5 of us, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we have a pool that is rented out year-round to 2 swim teams. I'm not 100% for that, but it is bringing money in, but we have to do more. I'm not for raising taxes, but to be very honest with you, I don't know how we're going to survive if we don't start looking at how we can raise revenues without raising the taxes. But there again, I just don't have the answers. I've been doing this a long time, and I don't see any simple answers to the question.
Yeah. So if you get into office, what's your plan? Like what are your
my first goal,
steps?
I want to see this annexation go through.
Yeah.
And once we can separate our public safety away from the rest of the community service district, we have to go full steam ahead of how to make the community center at least revenue neutral, at least bringing in the money to pay for itself. Right now, it's not doing that. And our parks, that's another thing. I know a lot of people are against paying to get into the lake, but we have to have revenues to be able to sustain. Things are costing too much nowadays. So,
yeah. With that annexation, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what are your opinions on the...
What is my opinion of that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not happy, I'll tell you that, because CAL FIRE has been a stellar partner for 27 years. Yes, have their costs gone up? Yes, they have. But everybody else's is going up too.
Yeah.
So, but I'm also a realist. We are not going to be able to continue in the same direction we've been going for the past 20 plus years. We have no reserves. We have to do something. And if it means that we have to give up our Cameron Park Fire as we know it, then that's what we have to do to be able to the rest of the community or the district to survive, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to survive if we keep our fire service, because nobody wants to give up their piece of the pie. So it's going to just kind of be a wait and see game with this annexation process. It's quite lengthy. Could take up to 18 months.
Wow. Yeah. Now, why do you think we've gotten there? You talked about the the community center and that kind of being a drain on resources. Is there anything else that's like, why Cameron Park, the CSD's gotten to that point?
Why we are in the trouble we're in, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, we are 6.5 square miles. We are landlocked. We are not going to have any large subdivisions built to bring in an increase in property tax. We survive off property tax.
Yeah.
We do get an increase every year, all depending on, I don't even really know how the county equates the increases. I would imagine it is based on home selling getting reassessed at a higher rate, and that's how we will see maybe a 5 or 6% increase. But we're not El Dorado Hills. We're not going to have huge subdivisions to bring in huge amount of monies. Yeah. We are built out practically. And businesses, I don't even think we have that much open space for businesses to bring in taxes. Of course, we don't see any sales tax. That goes to the county. Oh, okay. Only the cities see sales tax.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. So it's just the revenue isn't going up, but costs are going up.
Right. The revenues aren't going up quick enough for the costs.
Okay. Is there any other key issues that you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just, like I said, my fire service, I think, is number one.
Yeah.
We've got to figure this out. Mm-hmm. Then we have to move forward and figure out how are we going to make the remainder of our district whole? I think we can do it with the right people. Right now, we have some issues with personnel. We're down some personnel. I believe that with the right people, we can do it, and also with the community involvement. What has bothered me over the years is people only come when it's an issue that bothers them, like Station 88, the closure of Station 88. All these people came to the meeting, all angry, and then they never came back again. And it's like we just have to keep the engagement going with the community, because if we can't reach the community supports us. So we have to be able to figure out how to get the community involved, and just not in the areas that, pique their interest or make them angry, so to speak. So,
Yeah. How do you think we can get people involved?
I don't know. I've been trying for a long time.
Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine.
All right. Now, people on boards don't always get along. Like, how do you plan to, work with people who you disagree with?
Well, like I said, I've been doing this a long time and go
Yeah.
to all the meetings. I have a good rapport with a lot of the board members. And then when you are on the board, you have to work as a team. And that is the problem. What I want to see the board do, I want to see the board take the reins, direct the general manager, who will then direct the staff to come up with ideas, policies, or whatnot that are going to help make our community work. I really haven't seen that in the past. To be very honest with you, I have seen over the years various GMs come in, and it's almost like the board just does everything the GM tells them to do. And that is, the board is the boss of the general manager. That's the only employee that they have.
Yeah.
And it is their job to be engaged. It is their job to know what is going on. Like, we just went through a huge issue with a feasibility study by AP Triton for fire service.
Yeah.
That they stopped dead in the water, would not release a report to the public. However, they paid $62,000 for this report, which is, in my opinion, wrong. I feel we have a right to know why they did not share that report. And at best, they should have shared that report with every member of the board, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's wild. Like, hey, what? It seems very mysterious.
and
Why?
we just now found out how much they paid, by the way, last month.
Oh, yeah.
And they cut ties with them last year.
Oh. So it's something that the board paid for, and then it
They
didn't
wouldn't
get
tell.
used, or
They wouldn't. It wasn't the board. It was the staff would not share the
Oh.
information.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's wild.
Absolutely. There has to be more transparency, and there has to be more honesty, and that's where the public comes in, to come in. And we don't have to jump up and down and scream and demand, but we need to tell them, you work for us. And when you look at an organizational chart for any government agency, the public is on top, and everybody else falls below. And it's, in this case, transparency has not been one of their top priorities, in my opinion. So,
Yeah. Now, is there anything you want to leave getting ahead of myself here. Why should people vote for you? Like, what sets you apart from the other candidates?
well, I believe that I have the knowledge, I have the background, I have the history of Cameron Park Community Service District going back to the time it was formed, and that my heart is in the right place, and that I want to see us be successful, and that I would be coming in knowing I know a lot, and I'm not going to have to be trained or taught or told, how things were, because I know how we got where we got. It would take a movie to tell you where we've gotten.
Yeah.
It's a very sad scenario. It's been like, I know they passed a deficit spending budget this year, but to be very honest with you, they have passed deficit spending budgets almost every year I've been going to meetings.
Oh, wow.
It's just nothing new. And to be a public agency and not put away anything for a rainy day is wrong. If you and I lived that way, we would be living out on the street.
Yeah.
So I just feel that I am maybe not the best person, in some people's eyes, but my heart is in the right place, and I want to see us be a success story and not a failure. And I think we're headed towards that. If the board does not do what is right.
Yeah.
And I can't blame the board for everything either. They can only do what go forward with what they're being told.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it sounds like you have the experience, like not just work-wise, but also like that you've been there for years listening to those board meetings.
It's, I think that we've made bad choices with managers. I think we've made bad choices with finance people in the past. And it's time that we move forward and do what is right for the community. Because if El Dorado Hills Fire comes in, which I'm not against, by the way, perhaps El Dorado Hills just ought to take over our 6.5 square miles, and we just get absorbed into El Dorado Hills. Maybe that's the only way we're going to be able to do it, and survive.
Maybe. Now, where can people go to find out more information about your campaign?
Well, I do have a website. It's www.electbarbarodgers.com. So.
Okay, great. And then is there anything you want to leave the voters with before we sign out here?
I really just would love to see the public start coming to our meetings and to get involved, and not just to go in with, I'm here for one thing. We have to be here for everything, or we're not going to survive. This is a really tough world. If we have another downfall of the housing crisis, I believe that maybe our district would, in my estimation, disintegrate, because I don't know how we or any other government agency is going to be able to survive, loss of property taxes. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on, Barbara. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And this has been Barbara Rodgers. She's running for Cameron Park CSD. And this has been Liberty and EDC. We'll see you guys next time. Look out for more political interviews coming out. And we're on Comcast Channel 7, social media, and YouTube.